There's a bunch of cracks in the information wall regarding governments and government programs, particularly in the UK, and leaders of those programs coming clean now and unburdening their conscience, basically, and acknowledging things like directed government efforts at using fear as a tool to control human behavior. There's no question that AP, Reuters, The Independent, and others are doing a coordinated takedown, but it's fascinating in its nuances and also fascinating how aligned it is with Forbes. So that's why I put in our Substack the question, why is all of the mainstream media reacting, including Google, reacting so strongly to this whole issue of mass formation? They're validating Matthias Desmet's hypotheses in real time. Part of the whole character assassination trick. So what's going on with all of this is they're trying to create a cloud of uncertainty around me, specifically me, because I've been speaking out. And so you'll notice that they've chosen to frame this as if this is my hypothesis, that this anti-vax, I mean, this is the storyline, right? This anti-vax doctor has promoted this crazy wackadoodle, obscure theory, which is outside of his core competency. It's being framed as if I was the origin of that. And so in the Substack article, what I did is I reached out to Matthias Desmet, who is the senior academic, full professor, over 170 peer-reviewed publications, book coming out on mass formation. And Matthias is mad as hell at all this slander of his academic work, saying that it has no academic basis. So that's why I got Matthias involved. So Matthias carefully edited that Substack article. It's put out under my name. And then Matthias gave us some edits and additional suggestions. This is absolutely solidly rooted in over 200 years of academic research by people like Hannah Arendt, who was one of the great philosophers of the 20th century and a Holocaust survivor. I mean, this is based in serious academic scholarly work that goes back literally centuries. It is a long trail. To say that this is some wackadoodle conspiracy theory that somebody just pulled out of a hat is patently absurd. And I invite others to read it and make your own decisions, as always. The good news is the public, at least those that aren't in the mass formation. And remember, my goal, there is a third of the population that is lost in the wilderness right now, psychologically, in my opinion, and that of Matthias and many others. And we all know them. You know, people refer to The Walking Dead. They're impervious to data. Those ones are just lost at the moment. They're unreachable. There's something like 30 to 40% of the population that is kind of, oh, I don't know, you know, this is a little weird. This is all this conspiracy theories and I'm not sure what to believe. But at least they're open enough that you can communicate with them and you can share data and they are able to process it. The other third won't even look at data. They are so into it that they will twist themselves in knots. So the only option we have is to keep the mass formation from going deeper, to keep the entire culture from going further into crazy land. As I said in the Substack, bring your popcorn. What we have is an approved narrative dumpster fire in progress. In my experience, there are a lot of good people in the government. Down at the GS-12 to GS-14 level, they know what's going on. In the DOD, there is widespread discontent over what's happened here. They know that they've been hacked and they've been forced to do something that's against the law. They're being forced to take an unlicensed medical product that isn't fully characterized. And they're not very good with that. And they're seeing other servicemen and women suffering the consequences. So when this happens, you know, patriots will come out, and they are. So what I see is evidence for hope that there are good people that work for our government. They are suffering under a system. If we wanted to go down the same kind of journalistic language world that our opponents are using, we could use terms like regime, but they are under an administration that, in my opinion, is overtly lawless and decoupled from reality. And probably the most generous explanation is that they are suffering from the mass formation phenomena. For me, the big reveal was when I learned that Justin Trudeau, Gavin Newsom, and many other politicians were basically trained in what's basically a junior politicians program of the World Economic Forum. They have been specifically trained and nurtured and brought up through the system to support those agendas. And call these folks patriots or Americans. No, they're not. They may have American citizenship or Canadian citizenship, but their allegiance is with a transnational organization. I was on a telephone call the other day with an interesting gentleman. It's always been a personal hero. His name is Eric Clapton. And he can play the guitar. And he has 3 daughters that are totally wrapped up in the narrative. And with an open heart, he was saying, Robert, how can you help me to reach them? Here's my daughters in their late teens and early 20s, and they think I'm crazy. So he was asking, what can we do? And it was the same message, go to globalcovidsummit.org and get them to watch the videos there. Go to the unityprojectonline.com and watch the videos there and be patient. And at some point, there has got to be some serious accountability.